Hey guys, I have been meaning to make this video for a while now for a few friends who have had some formatting issues and questions, and I thought that I'd just go ahead and upload it to YouTube for anyone else who might be having difficulties formatting their ebook or print book. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it, and this will probably be a two-part video. I'll have two videos up on YouTube, one for the ebook side and one for the print side, but they will be linked together as a part one and part two because we'll be using the ebook file to then format for the print file. It's just easier to set everything up correctly in your ebook file before you go on to the print formatting. But the platform I'll be using is Draft2Digital for my ebook formatting anyway. It's free to set up an account. They have some really great templates. I'll include a referral code in the description. I use them for distributing to everyone except Amazon and Google. They do actually distribute to Amazon and Google as well, but I've had those accounts for a long time. But it's worth noting that I still use the files that are created by Draft2Digital to upload, because they're very easy to download an EPUB and Mobi and then directly upload those to those retailers. And anywhere else that you have a direct account through, you can use these files to upload to their dashboards. So you don't actually have to use Draft2Digital to distribute in order to use their formatting tools. I just like to because it makes things so much easier for managing my royalty accounts. So I'm also going to be using Microsoft Word. Now, I know a few authors who are on an extreme shoestring budget. They don't have an Office subscription, and you can use Google Docs to set up for your ebook files, but you won't be able to use Google Docs to set up for your print formatting. They don't have all the features that Microsoft Word has. You can't do the mirror margins that you'd want if you're going to have page numbers, headers, and footers on different pages. There might be some add-ons for it, but I don't know enough about trying to do that through Google Docs, and I've been using Microsoft Word forever. So the Office subscription, well worth it. This is the most recent version, 2019, and I'm going to work from a few different files. You may already know some of this, but if you don't, this is just going to be a quick overview of how to set up your file when you have a raw file that you're working from. So I'm going to zoom out here so you can kind of see. This might be how your file looks if you're using just the defaults. When you set things up in Word and you start typing your book, which a lot of new authors do, it's just you're getting things going. So I'm just going to, I'll delete out this space in here, copy this a few times, just this template text, so we can do a few different things for you to see how to use the tools at your disposal in Microsoft Word. Okay, we've got 4 pages there, and then I'm going to highlight this entire chapter and Control-C or Command-C if you're on a Mac to copy, and do it again, and we'll just have a few chapters to work with here. Delete, back out of this. Okay, so if you're pretty new to Word and you're just working with the defaults, this might be how your file looks. You might have, I'll change this to 2 here. I'll go down. You might have everything kind of all mashed together if you're not sure how to use some of their formatting tools. So we'll say we're working with 4 chapters here. And you're looking at this and you think, well, this is certainly not how you want things to look, but maybe you're not sure how to get things to look right. So we're going to make sure we're working from the Home button over here. And one of the first things we're going to see here is the styles, and you'll see how it says normal. And you'll see that there's spaces in between your paragraphs that might not exactly be what you want. There's no indent for the paragraphs. And you can go through and try to add all this individually, or you can just use a style, which if you started typing in Word, chances are all of your text throughout the whole thing is going to be this normal style. So what we can do from here is just right-click on normal and hit modify. And then from format down here, let's hit paragraph and say, okay, first line, and maybe 0.3. We probably don't need 0.5. That's a little large for an indent, but I'd say 0.25 or 0.3 is pretty good. And then you can see the spacing here. For the ebook, I do single spacing. It just makes it easier because you'll have fewer pages to highlight and copy and all of that. And I just keep it. And then you want to check this box here. Keep everything nice and tight. and you'll kind of get a preview down here of how it's going to look. And for alignment up here, I do justified because it's going to make a difference on the ebook. If you open up any of your favorite traditionally published ebooks, you'll see that they are fully justified to that edge of that page. And sometimes it can do some weird things with the spacing, but we'll work on the hyphenation features here in a minute too. So once you have all of this just nice and clean the way you think it should look, you hit OK. And then this Calibri, I think that's just the default, so you can put whatever in here. It's not going to matter so much in your ebook because e-readers usually let the reader decide what font face they want. They even let them decide the spacing and the size and all that. So this is just mostly for your viewing pleasure here. When we get over to the print formatting, we'll pay a little bit more attention to those things. And you can get online and do the research to see which fonts are in style or industry standard, which ones you should avoid. But for here, you know, it's not going to matter so much. Mostly I keep this minimal 11, 12 single spacing just because for the ebook formatting file, I want as few pages as possible because that means less work trying to scroll through when you're highlighting and adjusting things or looking for things. So now that I've got this stuff all set up the way I want, I hit OK, and it just adjusted everything for the entire book where you use that normal. Now you probably won't want to use that on your chapter headers, but you notice how it applied to that too. So what you can do is you can highlight that and hit heading 1. Now when you hit heading 1, it's going to put this larger and bold font here, but it's also going to keep some of the formatting from the normal template because it's not conditioned in here. Like the indent, for example, when you go to paragraph, you'll see, oh, that still has your point 3. And so you'll hit none because you want it perfectly centered for your captions there. But then you have to consider that you're going to have to go through and do that for every single one of these. And you don't want to do that. So what you'll want to do when you're up here and you make that change on that first one is you want to hit right click. And now you could hit modify and go change that in the setup, like through here where we went paragraph again and take it out there. You could do that. Okay. Or since you're on this already, you could right click and put update heading 1 to match selection. Okay, so that took that off. So now we can scroll on down to the chapter 2 that you want. And when you hit heading 1, when we go to paragraph, you'll see, okay, no indent applied. Perfect. And you can scroll along and find everywhere where you have a chapter heading. And if you don't like the font style or size or whatever, you can change the size in there as well, even if we just upped it by 1 and you thought, well, I want it to do that for every heading and I don't want to go back and adjust that. Once again, right click, update. And it did something a little squirrely there. Let's go update. I think it just jogged it down because it increased it for these up above here. So handy ways, I definitely recommend using those paragraph styles. They're going to save you a lot, especially when we go to the print formatting and we use this file and you want to change things through your whole story. It's nice to have that style applied. Now, if you use the normal for this here, instead of creating your own for this body text, if you have any front matter or back matter that you've included in this base file that you're working from, it will adjust that too if you have that normal style applied, which you can always create new styles just for your body text or just for your front matter, back matter. We'll work on that here in a little bit. With Draft2Digital, you don't have to worry so much about the ebook front matter and back matter because it will auto-generate it for you. I do all of my own just because I like to have some customized things. The only thing I allow Draft2Digital to auto-generate for me is the table of contents. They do a pretty good job of that. Mostly if you have a header style, and if we hit this little marks button, you can see the square, and that will show that, yes, you have a heading style in that. Mostly Draft2Digital will detect those headings and use those for your table of contents. Even if you don't have the proper breaks in here, if you have a heading style applied, it will detect that and it will separate it off on its own chapter, which is good if you're trying to use Google Docs for this, even though I don't recommend that. But if you are, that will save you in Draft2Digital is having these heading styles applied. Now, I'm not exactly sure if they show up just like this in Google Docs. I think there's an add-on if you want to see marks. They don't have this feature automatically as a default in Google Docs. But I love it here in Word. It shows you all your marks. So that's a good thing there, because you don't want to use the tab key when you're trying to indent your paragraphs. You want to use the paragraph styles with the automatic indenting. So, but we are going to come down here and section this off later on, and maybe even now it's probably a good idea, because when we start formatting for print, we're going to need those proper breaks in there for the headers and footers if you're going to have page numbers, for those to show up correctly. But it's very easy to do if you click right before where you want the next section to begin, which before every chapter, and you go to Layout, Breaks, and then do a section next page break. If you do a regular page break, it won't separate it off into a section to do the different page styles. Like the first page of every chapter should not have a header or footer, and you won't be able to remove them correctly unless you have a section break instead of a page break. And you don't want to have to go back and change all of that from your ebook file when you're formatting for print. So it's just a good idea to do it automatically in your ebook file. And we'll go ahead and zoom out here to get a better look. It's just easy to come in here and then go Layout, Breaks, Next Page, Section Break, and then on this one, right before there, Next Page, Section Break. Now you're all set up. And of course, you'll probably have a few more chapters than this, but all right. And we were talking about this, the hyphenation. And when we do this here and we can go hyphenation options, let's go automatically hyphenate. I don't ever hyphenate my caps because usually if it's in caps, it's an acronym or something, and I don't want that split up. So, and then I usually do like one. I don't want a whole bunch of rows that have hyphenation, and then that can look a little weird to me. But so I just do that. So it's just one consecutive line there. And I don't know that it's going to show up entirely well for the ebook because it's fairly well spaced here. But if we come over here and say we modify this and jump it up to a size 12 and hit OK. There we go. So it did hyphenate one of these longer words here. You can kind of see where that is. And we'll see more of that when we get over to the print formatting. But for this ebook formatting, that's kind of how the body's set up there. Now, say you want to come over here and you want to do your own front matter, like I'm going to show here in a bit. We can, same thing with the breaks. Let's go next page, and then when we come back up here and kind of click on this page, and you might not see your little cursor showing up. It's easy to hit this little button here and see, okay, there we go. And let's go book, title, author, name, and suddenly it puts your normal formatting. So if you do changes to this, you can change it even with that normal formatting applied. Just make sure, I'll come over here and hit modify, that there's not a box over here that you'll see sometimes that says automatically update. I think for the normal, they don't offer that because of so many problems that it can cause when you're using that default style. So we'll hit center, and I'm going to scroll down just to double check. So it didn't center all the rest of the normal text in the book. Good deal. We'll bump it up, maybe do italics. And you'll also notice, let's turn this off here, since that's the normal style, it applied that automatic indent, but you can come in here and just hit none, and it will do the proper centering. So you might want to include a graphic in here. We'll hit enter. It's going to say normal again. If we hit center, it's going to do that off center again just because it's that template style. If we do that and we go insert, let's say, let's insert a picture. And I'm going to find where I have a little scythe here. Now that's enormous, but you can just click and drag, and you'll kind of see some different ways you can adjust it. And if at any point you, like this is already in line with the text, I believe, so you can click this little button and see that. But say I want my author name up above in this text here, then I'm going to have to do something different. Like maybe behind the text. Here we go. So now you can kind of make some adjustments with how you do things. Get all that formatting's in there. Now I would not recommend putting a lot of graphics, at least not in your ebook file, because it will make your overall file size larger. And if you're on, say, a 70% royalty cut with Amazon for a book, that file transfer fee comes out of your side of that cut. So the larger the file, the less you'll make per sale. So keep that in mind when you're inserting graphics and things and images in your ebook files. So once we're through that, I'm going to hit the marks on again because it's just easier to see things. And so we're on the very end of this here, and I'm going to go Layout again, Breaks, Next Page. And kind of scroll up, make sure all that looks good still, even with the marks. And we'll hit Home. I'm going to take off the italics. And say you get tired of having to change up everything here with taking off the indents. So let's just go Copyright Page. We'll just go Copyright, put the little C in the parentheses and they'll automatically make it. Go Author Name. And you might want to put your book title at the top again, so that. And we'll just kind of put a standard authorly statement for copyright. You'll see some different things here. But now we highlight all of this, and if we go to paragraph, okay, it's saying none, so it still centered that correctly, and maybe because it rolled over from the other page, possibly there. But if at any point your text is giving you the runaround and you want to have a different font style just for your front matter, you hit the little square with the arrow in the corner of the styles box and this little A+, and then based off of this style, you can change this to say, you know, centered front matter, maybe, you know, whatever you want to name it. You can change the size and the face and this. You can hit automatically update and use that throughout, but I wouldn't use this automatically update for the body text of your book. And you probably don't necessarily need to use it here because you can right click on here and ask it to do that there. So instead of complicating things, I'd leave that unchecked. So you can always create a new style and it will put it in the style gallery up here. But so there's some different front matter things, and like I said, Draft2Digital will do some of this. They probably won't include a graphic if you want that custom here. And I'll show you a few other things in my final ebook file. This was just kind of the sample template to show you how to set up things in your initial file if you're working from a raw file. But I'm going to go ahead and hop over to my polished, finished ebook file and kind of show you what I've done here. And there are a few things you'll have to keep in mind for Draft2Digital, but I'm just going to kind of go through this real quick to show you how I have mine set up. So I have a full title page, copyright page, praise page. I don't have this in every book. I'm not sure if this is an option for the Draft2Digital's auto-generated content, and I don't do this every time, like I said, but this was my debut novel, so it felt like a good idea to have those reviews in there. And also by page, another thing that they auto-generate, but I don't know if they have like the customizable features like adding a book, like a free book link in there. Dedication page, half title page. This is something you're more likely to see in a print book. I like to include it in my ebook just to have that final marker saying this is where the actual book is beginning after all the front matter. Okay, body of the book. I'm going to scroll all the way down. Okay, last page, last chapter. I like to include a plug for the next book if it's a series, just to let your readers know the story's not over, it continues. An acknowledgments page, about the author page with some social media links, and in this book I have a preview chapter for one of my critique partners. Now you have to be careful about doing stuff like this, especially if you're going to be in KU, the exclusive Amazon publishing option that they I guess offer everyone when you're uploading your book to KDP. If you or your critique partner, whoever you're cross-promoting with, are in KU, I would skip this because they can consider it too much extra bonus content, sometimes book stuffing. I've seen a lot of those things pop up in discussions. I'm widely distributing my book, and so is Corey here, so we've swapped first chapters of our books. If you do this, it might be a good idea to also have just a generic contract on hand, so if Amazon asks if you have the proper permissions to publish this other author's content, you can quickly send them back that contract and say, yes, I do, so your book doesn't get unpublished in the meantime. But this was a good cross-promotion for us, and I'm going to use this opening line here of her book as a sample. We'll go over that here in just a minute for some of the Draft2Digital templates. So a few Draft2Digital specific things I'm going to point out as we're going through this. I just kind of covered that full title page. You'll notice I have these periods here in between where I have what I call my soft breaks, just where I want a single return of blank space in between to break this up. If you don't have something there and you just have a single return, we'll turn on the marks to look at that single return. Draft2Digital zaps where you have single returns, and they will mash all of this up together. So if you want spacing in there, you're going to have to include some type of mark. I found a period to be the least intrusive, distracting from the book, but you can include a hyphen or an asterisk or something there. But if you, and I'll scroll down to the dedication page or so, if you include like 3 breaks here, Draft2Digital will recognize that as a seam break, and they'll put their seam break graphic in there. So we'll use this page for sampling on the Draft2Digital previewer, so you can see what the header graphics and the seam break graphics look like, which are the 2 things that are the fanciest and their templates that get applied. And we'll go through those. So back up here to the copyright page, I include a hyperlink to my website. And if you're not sure how to do that, when you type in that text, you just highlight it, insert, links, link, and you're going to have to include the full URL with the HTTP, all that. And then when you hit OK, it will hyperlink that text. So if someone clicks on it in your ebook, it'll take them to that link. I also include a link to my editor. And this is an old version of this book that has a cover I designed. I was a graphic designer before going full-time with my writing. So when I was on a shoestring budget, I not only formatted my books, I did the cover design. And now that I have more overhead, I'm having these redone for the 10-year anniversary of this book, for this whole series this year. So once that's done, I will include a link for my cover designer. Sometimes that is a requirement in a contract that you sign with a cover designer, sometimes with an editor. But even if it's not, I've always found that it's just a polite thing to do to credit the people that helped you produce the book. I'll scroll on down the praise page. You'll notice the periods again where I want these soft breaks because I don't want all these reviews just smashed together. And I have header styles applied. Draft2Digital will recognize that and include that in the table of contents. They will also sometimes recognize just if text is bold or centered. They have some different options. We'll take a look at that here in a minute too. So if you're having trouble with them generating your table of contents the way you want it, they do have some different things to help. But I've always found making what I want to show in the table of contents have that centered header style usually generates my table of contents just the way I want it. So here, periods again where I want the soft breaks. And for this read for free option, if you have a free book, or if you want to link any book for any reason, I'm going to recommend that you go to a universal landing page. This is a universal book page on my website, but if you don't have a website with a page, I know that's sometimes a large expense if you're starting out, you can use a free universal book link page like through Books to Read. Just make sure you include the extra text at the end to strip any affiliate links. Even if you don't have affiliate accounts uploaded to Books to Read, I believe they apply their affiliate accounts. So if you're going to include one of their links, you have to strip those out because it's a no-no in eBooks. And I'll include a link to that page with that information in the description as well for anyone that's interested. But here we go, universal book link page that will show all the different retailer links. You don't want to have a retailer specific link here like to Kindle or Barnes & Noble or whatever, especially if you're using Draft2Digital to distribute to more than one retailer. Like if you're in KU and just using Amazon, then sure, go ahead and use the Amazon link. I would still recommend a universal Amazon link like through BookLinker that will go to a reader's country specific Amazon store. But if you're going to distribute to multiple places and want to use the files that you generate from Draft2Digital at multiple retailers, don't include single retailers because none of these places are going to want to promote their competition. So you just will complicate things. They may not accept your book file. You'll be pulling your hair out before you know it. So universal links all the way through. Okay, dedication page. Got the breaks. We'll look more at that, the previewer. For here, you'll notice I have a period underneath this half title again. Even with the header style applied to this, without something below, it was not putting this in the table of contents and it wasn't applying the fancy style, the template graphics around it that I wanted. So just adding that little period seemed to fix the problem. So if you're wanting the graphics around a half title page like this, that's what you'll have to do. If you may not even have this page in your book, then don't worry about it. Scrolling down, body of the text, or the book here. I have a header style, so that will include the graphics, so I don't have to worry about the breaks in here. Draft2Digital will just zap them anyway. And where I do want the break, I have a period again. So you'll see the body text, I have a style applied, I think a custom one, and just book body that I put in there. And we're going to go ahead and shrink this down so we can scroll through the book a little more quickly. I'm going to point out where I have, I think, a section break in here somewhere, just so you can kind of see where I have like the 3 returns. If you want a hard section break with like a graphic in there, you're going to need at least 3 returns. So if you just have 1 or 2, Draft2Digital will zap those out. So I'd search for those and make sure that there are at least 3 in there. And we'll take another peek at that in the template previewer too. Scrolling down, I have another on my next book, or like a preview of the next book, a plug for it. You can see the periods for the breaks, but I also have another universal book page link. And if you have a pre-order set up or even just a landing page somewhere, you can put that. If not, don't worry about hyperlinking, just say, coming soon, just so they know. And all you really need there, if you don't have it all outlined or written yet, is just a short blurb of the plot. And you can change this later on in the book file if the storyline changes up, or if you ever update the blurb, you can go back in and change it. And I say blurb, it's the description, book description. I think that's becoming interchangeable with blurb lately, though originally blurb referred to a nice review, kind of one line that authors or review establishments would write for books. So lingo's changing. Okay, acknowledgements page there. Kind of look at that. About the author page, more periods, where I want the soft breaks, another link to my website, link to my newsletter sign up. Social media. I used to have an Amazon link here, but since I started using this file from Draft2Digital to distribute everywhere, I took that out because I wanted everything to be universal. And since BookBub distributes their newsletter for multiple retailers, that was a good universal one to include there too. Okay, preview of Corey's. You'll notice on these earlier chapters, I did not do what was industry standard and remove the indent from the first line. Draft2Digital will do that for you automatically. So for your ebook file, I just leave it. That's something we'll work on more with the different options in the print formatting. But for Corey's preview chapter at the end of my book down here, you'll notice that she has this first letter larger and bold. I'm going to hit home to double check all that. And this will override some of Draft2Digital's formatting features. So if this is a style you like, it's another option, and we'll take a look at that here in just a minute. So when you're all good to go, you just hit Control S, and then you'll upload the book file to Draft2Digital. And I'm going to click on Layout because I already have it uploaded to my details included. You'll have to have your categories and everything that you want there. But once you do that and you hit Save, it will take you to this layout page that will show you your table of contents. And if you see things that you don't want in there, or you don't see things that you had thought you would put in there, they do have this option where you can hit Help, these aren't my chapters, and they'll give you 5 or 6 different options for detecting your different chapters or different content for your table of contents. And here is all the stuff that they will auto-generate for you if you want. If you don't have anything customized that you want to put in there, like the little scythe graphic or the link to free books. For the copyright page, I don't know if they have that set up to where you can add a link to your editor or your cover designer. They may. I've just never used this content, but they do have the option there for those of you that are not really thrilled about the idea of having to create your front and back matter. So once you're happy with how this looks, you hit Save and Continue, and it will take you over to the preview page, and we can take a look at the different templates they offer. They have a pretty good variety for the different genres. And they always start this preview right after the table of contents, which follows your title page and your copyright page. So I just back up all the way, and then you can go page by page to kind of check things out, make sure they look good. Praise page here, also by. Okay, here is where you can see both of the different graphics that they will add from their templates. That's the header style and that's the seam break style. And if you scroll through here, you'll see that they will just put the blank break if you don't want any graphic in there, and nothing here on the simple. Or you can scroll through and check out all the different little fancy things they offer. They have some really fun ones. Just kind of a quick peek at these. And kind of upload a test file and sample them too if you're interested in it. So I mostly just stick to this one here. It's nice and universal and pretty and works for me. We'll jump ahead. There it is, the half title page. You'll see the little period there. It's not really that distracting, but I wanted these graphics here and I wanted this in the table of contents. So, all right, if you start seeing blank pages, don't freak out. It's just locked up. You hit the refresh button and it will take you back to that page. So I just jump ahead here. I'll go back here. We'll go chapter 1. Okay, this is how they set up their chapters for their default. It's just like the first 4 words all caps, but you can check this enable drop caps if you prefer this style. I prefer this here, and you'll notice even when you have this enabled, wherever you have a break, like a seam break, the next section will start with these caps instead of a drop cap, the all capital. So we will jump ahead, kind of see these different sections here. I'm going to skip ahead. I think it was chapter 34, close to the end there. We'll see, there we go. So there's like where your seam breaks are. So even with the drop caps, it just puts the all capital letters there. Okay. We'll jump ahead. Okay, since I had the header style applied to this, it did split it off. Now, of course, this won't be an issue with the print formatting, and it's not that big of a deal. I just like to have that above my little preview of the next book. So it may not be a problem if you don't feel like including something above it. Just thought I should point it out, though. Next section, acknowledgements, about the author, links, and we're locked up again. Hit the refresh button. Okay, back to the about the author page, ahead. Okay, and you'll see Corey's here. See how it doesn't have all the capped words in those first 4 there? It's got this, but if you hit the drop caps, it will apply that style anyway. But if you decide you don't want those first 4 words capitalized, you can do this to your own chapter beginnings, but I usually skip it because it's just easier. But worth pointing out that there's another option there if you prefer a different opening line for your chapters. So once you're happy with all of this, if you don't want to distribute with Draft2Digital, you can download a MOBI file or an EPUB, even a PDF right from this page. Or you can check the button, hit save and continue, and go on to the pricing page and check the places where you want them to distribute for you. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to my books. Let's see if we can jump ahead. Since I already have that uploaded, I don't want it to be updating things. So maybe it's not going to let us. Maybe it's just down here. So the publish. So you can change everything from here. You can change depending on the territories too. So for different sales and things that you're going to be using your book for. So pretty easy stuff for the ebook formatting. Like I said, once you download that MOBI or EPUB, you can upload that wherever you need it. But now we're going to jump back to, and I'm going to go ahead and X out of, well, we'll leave that open so it'll be a little easier to work with. I'll turn the marks off. Okay, we're going to scroll all the way back up here, and I'm going to end this video and start a new one for the print formatting, just so these videos don't run on for a million years. So hope that was helpful for your ebook formatting. Check back for the next video if you're interested in the print formatting.